Sun abusers have become very common this generation. One of the most powerful introduced was Gouging Fire. But why? What makes Gouging Fire so powerful? Well boys, today that's exactly what I'm going to be telling you. I'm going to be going in depth as to why you should draft Gouging Fire. But before you get nice and toasty and we talk about Gouging Fire, did you know only 47% of people that watch my videos are subscribed? We're on a mission here, guys. We got to get to 3,000 by the end of the year, and I need your help. Go down there, make sure you subscribe. If you're not, click that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. And you might as well leave a like while you're down there too. Helps push us in the algorithm. I spend a lot of time on these videos, so it would really mean the world. Gouging Fire has an almost entirely unique typing of Dragon and Fire. It actually only shares that type with one other Pokemon, an absolute behemoth that a lot of people like to compare Gouging Fire to, Turtonator. Oh, and Mega Charizard X and Reshiram as well, I guess. They're not Turtonator, but they're alright. Dragon and Fire as a typing is fantastic. The main downside of this typing is obviously that you're going to be a Dragon type weak to rocks, but the positives outweigh this negative. First, offensively, Fire and Dragon is an insane offensive combination. Fire type moves break the steals that Dragons don't really like dealing with, and neutrally, these two types together cover pretty much everything. Defensively, it's a good typing because it's a Dragon type that is not weak to Fairy, which is fantastic for a Pokemon that can be as defensive as Gouging Fire has the capability of being. On top of that, it's not weak to Ice, so two of the main ways to keep Dragons in check in both Fairy and Ice, Gouging Fire doesn't really care about. And it does have some common weaknesses like Ground, but thanks to its amazing defensive stats, it doesn't really care about that. Gouging Fire has 105 HP, 115 attack, 121 defense, 65 special attack, 93 special defense, and 91 speed. Honestly, this is just about as perfect as a stat spread can get for a Pokemon like this. Gouging Fire has a low enough of a special attack to where it could distribute stats in other stats, while also rivaling other defensive Pokemon with its bulk and having enough attack to output serious damage. Not only is this Pokemon an insane physically defensive wall, it can take special hits as well. And it has an amazing move pool to take advantage of both these stats and this typing. Gouging Fire quite literally has pretty much everything you could ask for. Fantastic stabs, good coverage moves, ways to heal, ways to set up. It's not really missing a whole lot. This Fat Lion has Heat Crash for its fire coverage move, which for a chubby guy like himself works very well because it's usually going to be maximum or 120 base power. For its other stab moves, it has both Scale Shot and Dragon Claw on the Dragon side of things. It also has a ton of different coverage moves like Thunder Fang to hit waters, which normally Dragon Claw or Scale Shot's going to do more damage anyway, but the option is there. As well as things like Earthquake to hit the rock types, and it also has an Iron Head to break the fairies. It can set up whenever it wants with the absolute insane bulk it has with Dragon Dance, boosting two of its mediocre stats of attack and speed and just absolutely pushing them past. And not only that, it can take less than 50% in Morning Sun in your face, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I also think that I have to mention its signature move, Burning Bulwark. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is just protect, but if they hit you with a physical move, they're going to get burned, which is very good for certain niche situations. As for sample sets, let's be honest with ourselves for a second. There's not going to be a more common set than Dragon Dance, Morning Sun, Dragon coverage, and Fire coverage. And then you're probably going to be Boots. This Lion Triceratops can pretty much guarantee Dragon Dance in the face of most Pokemon, and even Morning Sun in the face of most because of how insanely bulky it is. And if you invest in its defensive stats, you're pretty much good. You can just boost the offense through Dragon Dance. Oh, this is a creative builder's dream right here. On top of that, if you have Sun, good luck to your opponent. You're gonna just absolutely shred their team. If you don't have Sun, you can replace Boots with the booster energy, of course, if you have some form of removal. Other than that, with that booster, you could grab an attack boost or even a defense boost if you want to set up a little bit easier. If you'd rather be a breaker and take advantage of Heat Crash in the Sun, slap on a Choice Band. I promise you, there are not many Pokemon that can take two Gouging Fire Heat Crashes in the Sun. This thing is so fat, you are spamming base 120, zero downside fire coverage in the Sun with an attack boost. It's gonna do a little bit of damage. And you might be saying, John, that's 2 sets. And yeah, that's all I have for you. The real creativity for this Pokemon comes in the EV spread rather than the actual sets. Making this Pokemon fatter with the Dragon Dance set can really make the difference as opposed to just stuffing everything into attack and speed. Because you can be so bulky, you can just Morning Sun up, you can Dragon Dance. I want to try this Pokemon really badly. And while you can obviously run sets that I did not talk about, these 2 are easily going to be the most common. As for teammates, weather can be a pretty polarizing concept. Some people love it and thinks it gives them an edge in battles, while others think the reliance on weather in draft is very hindering. Gouging Fire, in my opinion, is a Pokemon that can embody both sides of this argument. It is a Pokemon that is great on its own, but is made infinitely better when you have the option to have Sun. And I want to make it very clear, Gouging Fire is not unusable if you do not have Sun, but the option to have Sun makes it so much harder to prep for. And I believe to get the full value for Gouging Fire, you need to have Sun. At least have the option to have Sun. That doesn't mean you have to bring Torkoal every single week, but you have to have the option. Or I guess Ninetales, but Ninetales is really bad. If I see one more Gouging Fire non-Sun team, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to go crazy. Because that just puts you at a disadvantage immediately when drafting this Pokemon. Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself at a disadvantage? Use this Pokemon in all of its strengths. And Sun is this thing's biggest potential strength. The option to have it on your team and making your opponent prep for Gouging Fire heat crashes in the sun, you're going to force your opponents to be a lot more defensive, a lot less offensive, and it's going to be a lot more fun for you. That being said, like I said earlier, get Torkoal, not Ninetales. Ninetales, not real. That Pokemon, very bad. Torkoal, he spins and he's funny. Past weather though, another fantastic pairing that I love is Rillaboom. Rillaboom can break the bulky waters that Gouging Fire doesn't like, provides grassy terrain so the ground moves don't destroy Gouging Fire, and also gives Gouging Fire a little bit of recovery because unfortunately, this Pokemon doesn't always have the ability to run leftovers. Honestly, after saying it, Rillaboom is one of my favorite pairings with Gouging Fire. Lastly, I could name pretty much any photosynthesis Pokemon right here, and it would be a good pairing, and you couldn't tell me otherwise. But that's a cop-out, so I'm not going to do that, even though I already named Torkoal. Instead, I'm going to go a little bit out of left field here. Pelipper. I'm just joking. Pelipper is very bad. Don't get Pelipper with this Pokemon. Gouging Fire struggles with breaking waters, doesn't love taking ground moves, so instead of pairing it with one Rillaboom, may I offer you one Zapdos. But John, you have Sun, you're not going to hit your Hurricanes in the sun. Why would you draft Zapdos? That's so stupid. Yes. I could make a whole video talking about just Sun and what Pokemon I think benefit very well on the structure of a Sun team, but Zapdos is one Pokemon that I think you can ignore the Hurricane boon for, and it does fantastic on Sun. Think about it. It breaks the waters that the Sun Pokemon hate while taking those ground moves that they also don't love, and you're not going to click Hurricane too often because of the fact that you have all these fire types and these Sun abusers to break those grasses. With this type of Sun team, you're going to use Zapdos as a pivot, not as a breaker. And that's very important. You have to keep that in mind. If you use Zapdos as a breaker on a Sun team, you're probably doing it wrong. Unless it's like very specific matchups. It's hard to say you're doing something wrong in Draft League because obviously, you know, very creative. You do what you want. You're wrong. To use Zapdos to its fullest potential and to use it the way that I think it pairs perfectly with Gouging Fire, use it as a pivot. It breaks waters. It can roost. It's very fat. It has static. Use it like this. Don't be like, oh, I got to use Hurricane. And also, you got Weather Ball, I think, this generation. Sonny, fact check me, I guess. If I'm wrong, put a big X over my face or something, or just dummy head in the top. You got Weather Ball. And boom, you can hit grasses all of a sudden. Stop. You don't need Hurricane. All in all, Gouging Fire, you should probably draft a Sun team with it, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. It's a Pokemon that I love. It's fantastic. It's very fat. You can take advantage of even the Pokemon that want to check it, or it could just be an amazing offensive breaker by slapping a Choice Band on it. You throw this Pokemon in the sun, there's no switch-ins to Heat Crash. It's a Pokemon that I think rewards a very creative builder, not because of the sets, but because of the EVs and how defensive you can make this absolute behemoth of a Pokemon. And in my opinion, it's one of the most fun Draft League Pokemon to come out of Generation 9. Let me know if you think I said something stupid, or if you think I said some pretty smart things in this video down below. Shout out to Sonny for editing this video. I really appreciate that. And shout out to you guys for watching this. Thank you guys so much for watching. And for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off. Am I going to remember that? This is going to take several takes. Gouging Fire has 105 HP, 115 attack, 121 defense, 65 special attack, 93 special defense, and 91 speed. I got down the first try. I'm very proud of myself.